If Camp Foley could share its stories, what would it tell you? If the cabins could share their stories, they would tell you about friendships, about kids getting to be kids, about laughter. If the trees could share their stories, they would tell you about nature and being a part of nature, about making new friends, about the smell of bug spray and campfire. If Whitefish Lake could share its stories, it would tell you about courage, about trying new things, about growing up but still being a kid, about being silly. How many miles have we paddled and sailed in the past 100 years? If the chapel could share its story, it would tell you about faith, about peace. How many masses have we prayed together in 100 years? If the tree houses could share their stories, they would tell you about stories around the fire, about exploring. If the muck pond could share its story, it would tell you about keeping an open mind, about investigating. If the riflery range and the archery range could share their stories, they would tell you about learning, about reaching goals. How many bullseyes and clay pigeons have we shot in 100 years? If the dining hall could share its story, it would tell you about the taste of soda bread.
The best thing about camp is soda bread, yeah!
About singing songs, about winning and losing canteens. What does 100 years of meals together look like? If the fields could share their stories, they would tell you about having fun, about challenge, about playing, about success. If the climbing wall could share its story, it would tell you about overcoming fear, about discovery, if the boats could share their stories, they would tell you about trying again, and again, and again, about dressing up in silly costumes, about grit. How many kids have gotten up on skis for the first time in the past 100 years? If Father Foley could share his story. He would tell you about growth, about families,
If he says, Father, who will run this camp after you are dead? Father Foley had not been taken of death, but he's out of it.
If the directors could share their stories, they would tell you about joy, about memories that will last a lifetime. If the decades of counselors could share their stories, they would tell you about seeing old friends, about working hard and playing harder. If the generations of campers could share their stories, they would tell you about independence, about hard goodbyes. How many friendships were made in 100 years? What does 100 years of campers sound like? What does 100 years of smiles look like? If Camp Foley could share its story, it would tell you about love.
For 100 years, we have been coming and going, growing grit and investigating independence, learning and having fun. We may not always be at camp, but Camp Foley stays within us.
You could ask the lake, trees, and cabins to tell the story, but the story of Camp Foley is in all of us. So tell us, what is our story?